Hello, my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. What are the most iconic Randy Orton moments in WWE history? Well, I've tried really hard to narrow it down to the three most iconic Randy Orton moments in WWE history because, in my opinion, Randy Orton is in my Mount Rushmore with John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man Randy Savage, and then Randy Orton. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and comment below your Mount Rushmore. But that's my Mount Rushmore because I think Randy Orton is a name that is synonymous with not only greatness in the WWE, but also some of the most chaotic and downright deplorable acts in the history of WWE. Though, in recent years we have seen sort of a more calm and collected Orton, but the Legend Killer spent much of his career terrorizing his opponents to no end, creating iconic moments. John Cena, Triple H, Undertaker, are to name a few of those members on a lengthy line of superstars that have fallen victim to the twisted mind possessed by this future first ballot Hall of Famer, and again, who I consider to be on my Mount Rushmore. So I've tried to narrow it down again to the three most iconic moments in Randy Orton's history. Again, these aren't great matches, these aren't title wins, but these are just iconic moments that WWE fans will remember forever, and I have remembered forever and are just etched in my brain for the rest of time. And so we go on to number three is Never Trust a Viper. Never trust a Viper. No list of Randy Orton moments would be complete without one of the most utter and shocking betrayals we've seen in recent memory. And this is precisely what the Legend Killer was responsible for during an episode of Raw back in January of 2020. Amid a feel-good atmosphere following Edge's shocking return at the Royal Rumble, everyone's in high spirits. We're feeling great about Edge coming back. He comes to the ring for a huge pop, which is expected to be a celebration with his former tag team partner, but what subsequently played out could not have been more different, right? Again, massive pop because Randy Orton sort of teased that there could be a reuniting of Rated RKO, but then out of the blue, he hit the 11-time world champion Edge with the trademark RKO, which is probably the most famous finisher in WWE history, maybe outside of the stunner, but I think, Randy Orton's got him on this one. But he hits him with the trademark RKO. From there is a vicious, vicious chair assault that was unleashed on the helpless and hopeless Edge, targeting that surgically repaired neck that took him 9 years to come back to the ring in one of the most greatest, never say never moments in WWE history when he returned to the Royal Rumble. And it was actually quite tough to watch while we're watching it live happen. But one of the most iconic moments and something that can be described as vintage Orton. So that's number three, Never Trust a Viper. And then you go on to number two, which is Burning the Dead Man. Of all of Randy Orton's fiery antics, none proved more iconic and more fiery than his 2005 attack on The Undertaker. In the thick of a very intense feud with The Taker, where we saw an up-and-coming legend killer Randy Orton make it clear that all legends were not immune, definitely not immune to his wrath and his deplorable acts. After last loading The Undertaker into the ringside coffin during a rare handicap match, Orton lived up to the event's name of No Mercy and then some. He dragged the casket onto the stage, then proceeded to launch a vicious attack on the structure using an axe. From there, Taker's resting place, the coffin, was doused in petrol before going up in a ball of flames in one of the coolest scenes for everyone in attendance and all WWE fans, right? That's what makes that moment so iconic, because it was an early deplorable act from Randy Orton early in his career when he was establishing that legend killer character, and it was amazing and it was iconic and he was up and coming, and it really established him as a superstar for years to come in WWE, which we know was true because now he's been around for 20 years. He's a 14-time world champion and one of the greatest of all time. And then we have the last iconic moment in Randy Orton's WWE history, which is, absolute heartbreak for Daniel Bryan. And then there was the one I think is the most iconic moment in Randy Orton's history, where there was a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things that made this moment great. But when it comes to the most iconic moments in Randy Orton's storied career, one stands out above all of them, and this is this moment. As much as much comes from the 2013 edition of SummerSlam and remains to this day one of the most talked about moments in recent wrestling history, with the entire WWE universe, everyone busy celebrating Daniel Bryan defeating John Cena to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. The familiar "I hear voices in my head" boomed across the Staples Center in a sequence of events perfectly befitting of the Viper and his aura and the way he moves. Special guest referee Triple H hits Bryan with a pedigree, allowing Randy Orton to slither in as the Viper does and secure his 7th world championship with a simple 1, 2, 3. Why is this iconic? Because it absolutely killed the dreams of the fans and Daniel Bryan, and it was just classic Randy Orton to slither in there and secure that win. And so those are the 3 most iconic moments, I think, personally, in the history of Randy Orton. You have him beating Edge, never trust a Viper. After Edge comes back, you have him literally burning the dead man, and then you have him stealing this championship and giving Daniel Bryan heartbreak until he, actually won it for a longer period of time later. And then there was, another story with Daniel Bryan, which we won't get into, but that's, because this is about Randy Orton and the 3 most iconic moments in Randy Orton's history. And, I think potentially Randy Orton could be the guy to break Ric Flair's record of 17 world titles in 2025. We're thinking that John Cena might break it because he has 16 world championships. He needs 1 more to get 17 to break the record. Again, I said Randy Orton's at 14 world titles. I think it even might be more likely at some point that he'll get to 16, potentially 17, but that's 3 more title reigns. And then hopefully that happens, because then we get potentially 3 more iconic Randy Orton moments in WWE history. And I'm a huge fan of Randy Orton. Again, he's on my Mount Rushmore. I'd love to know who's on your Mount Rushmore. But that's all I got for today's video. So please, again, comment, share, give me your thoughts, feelings, opinions, subscribe, like, share this with every wrestling fan that you know. And I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.